Okay, hi. This is Spring 22, Week 3, and the topic today is using heart rate and effort as your exercise guideline. Okay, so just a reminder on those announcements. If you have allergies, there's a lot of tree pollens right now. It can affect your breathing. Have awareness of that. Be safe. If you haven't taken your albuterol or you need for safety purposes to let somebody know, please do let your leaders know if you feel it's appropriate. Doubling back is important so that the group stays together. And there was one other announcement. If you got a t-shirt and you didn't pick it up, it's there. So heart rate slips. So if you, I know what it was. Leaders, if you didn't pick your shoes up, they're in the basement where we usually gather in the basement. Pick your shoes up and check off your size that you picked it up. Thank you. The heart rate slips have your name and your birth date because that's how we do the formula, which is 220 minus your age. So 60% to 65%, look at your heart rate slip. 60 to 65% means the effort is relatively easy. That's the warm-up. So one of the foundational things about Princess Steps in this whole clinic that helps people is to have awareness of a purposeful warm-up, and that means effort-wise, it's going to be noticeably easier in the first 10 minutes, give or take. Okay? On your homework, it says warm up, easy. And as of this week, week 3, it'll say 60 to 65%. But it's so important to make a purposeful effort to keep it easy at the beginning. And by now, you kind of got a little more idea of the format. We're not as nervous as we were 2 weeks ago. So chill a little bit. Really, really, really try to make that first part easy. I know I went with the Bobcats last week, and we did slow it down, right, Bobcats? Yeah. And it made a big difference. And one of the differences it can make is that when the leaders, after the warm-up's over with, and the leaders say, okay, pick your pace up now, then not only are you more easily able to pick your pace up, it feels a whole lot better. And quite frankly, so many people tell me they want to get quicker. And John's going to talk about this a little bit more. Before you get quicker, you have to just get consistent. And I know that for most people here, that's your goal first, is to get consistent first. Build that base, that aerobic with oxygen, he's going to talk about that. Build that base first before you think about going quicker. Now, maybe some people in the Bobcat group or certain groups who have been doing this for a long time and have already been consistent, there were only a couple hands that were raised when I asked that the first week, how many people have been consistent up until the clinic started. There weren't that many people. Therefore, I can honestly say that pretty much everybody in here really and truly does need to work on consistency first. And that means go easy in the beginning, then pick your pace up a little bit. And if you don't go easy in the beginning and then you try to pick your pace up, you just made yourself a really hard workout. A really hard workout. Because if you don't go easy in the beginning, you're going right out of the chute, and then you try to pick your pace up, then you go into the red zone. So look at your sheets. Look at your little heart rate slips. Red is 85%. You're not getting oxygen. John's going to talk about that too. Why it feels like yuck. Okay? So this is just my heartfelt encouragement. When it says easy, easy is easy. Okay? Chill. And then when they say pick it up, go ahead. Pick it up. That's where the group's going to spread. because some people have been more consistent than others. The group's going to spread. Let it spread. But those people in the front, after a few minutes, if you don't hear the leaders, be careful turning back so you don't strain yourself or trip. But seriously, and then when weather gets nicer, it's daylight, there's more people out there. I kid you not. And some of those people are weird. Okay? And that is the truth. All due respect to everybody. They're just not always paying attention. Okay? They can be pretty distracting. That means we need to be that much more careful and aware, because we're a big group. We're princesses. Okay? So I think I've given enough of an introduction. I've taken up too much. Oh, okay. Everybody get your heart rate. I'm going to give you a... Everybody get it. Either here or over here. Okay? And I'm going to say start, and then you start counting, and then I'm going to say stop. Ready? Start! Stop! Okay? So just remember what your number was. Just remember it. Okay? Now hyperventilate. Just do something to get your heart rate up. Go. Keep going. Okay. Get your heart rate. Ready? Go. Stop. It was higher, right? Like duh. Okay? So here's a plan. This is tricky, but bear with us. When you're out there, you're walking or you're running, and the leader's going to say, okay, in about 15 seconds, get ready, because we're going to take your heart rate check in about 15 seconds. And so you're going to get ready, and all of a sudden, in about 15 seconds, they're going to say, stop. That means you stop walking and running, and then they're only going to give you about 1.5 to 2 seconds. And they're going to say, count. And the reason why is because if you wait there too long, your heart rate's going to come down. So you got to, as soon as you got to get it right away. And they're going to give you exactly 6 seconds. And then they're going to say, stop. And then you start walking again, or start running again. And then they're going to ask you where you're in your target heart rate zone. And you're going to do 3 checks today. 1 in the beginning, warm up, 1 in the middle part, and 1 at the end. Okay? And this is a little bit of chaos, but it adds science, objectivity, and all that kind of stuff. And just like I said on the update, it really increases people's awareness that, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was going too fast in the beginning. That's for real. That's why we do it. That's why it's so important to do this. And consistency is key. Okay, I'm done, John. That was way too long.
No.
I just get so passionate.
She's that. All passionate. Okay, so see that? Happy heart, cool shoes. Even a little, you can't tell, but there's a little bit of sweat there in the corner. Okay, so that's the goal. Everyone's heard the term aerobics before, right? Okay, so aerobics was kind of something that was scientifically studied in the late 50s, early 60s. Kenneth Cooper was one of the primary researchers, and it was a research lab out of Texas. Basically what they were trying to do was create more endurance for Air Force pilots, okay? Because training, you know, and we're talking about kind of running training, combat training, you know, the concepts of training were go hard, go fast, over and over and over and over and over and over again. And okay, that gets rid of you, and you. So now we got the best people. Okay? Track teams were like that. The military was like that. All kinds of things were like that. But research started getting done that, wait a minute, if you have more endurance, you are eventually going to have more power, more strength, and more speed. And this was actually kind of seat of the pants research going on in New Zealand, in Australia, there were track coaches in the late 40s, early 50s that were doing insane things like making their milers run 8 or 10 miles. And everybody's like, that'll slow them down. They'll never win a gold medal. They'll be the worst milers in the history of the world. Well, in 1956 in Melbourne, they won the gold medal. In 1960 in Rome, they won 3 gold medals. In 1964 in Tokyo, they swept. So everybody's like, you know what, maybe these New Zealanders and Australians have got something. We better start doing some research about it. The reason, the thing that they were doing that was so dramatically different is instead of the people running the half mile, the 800 meters, and the mile, 1,500 meters, instead of having them run sprint after sprint after sprint, never having them do anything long, okay, or God forbid, slow, that would make them better milers. Well, the countries that stayed with that kind of training got obliterated. And the countries that kind of started moving towards the training of, no, let's do some long aerobic runs. For years as a coach, I always talked about Sundays or Saturdays as your time for a long aerobic bath, okay? You go for a long walk, you go for a really, really easy jog. You want your blood flowing to all your muscles, okay? So, you know, aerobics kind of took a spin in the 70s and 80s, and it was about, you know, leotards and leg warmers, and that really isn't what aerobics was. You know, aerobics was really the study of building endurance, okay? So aerobic endurance and aerobic power and then speed really has 3 different phases. The first phase is that building that aerobic endurance, because we all have one of these, right? Okay, one heart. All of us pretty much have the identical amount of arteries, okay? Arteries are what the blood comes out of the heart in. And we all have about the same amount of veins, okay? Arteries and veins are the 2 main branches. Arteries take blood away from the heart, move it through the body. Veins bring it back to the lungs and heart, liver, lungs, and heart for cleaning, okay? What changes and what aerobics really, you know, being in your target heart zone, being able to breathe, being able to be comfortable as you exercise, which is really what aerobics is, okay? You build capillary beds, okay? We all have the same amount of, all have the same heart, all have the same amount of arteries, all have the same roughly amount of veins. What changes in training, in aerobics, in endurance, is the exchange points, okay? Where the, you know, where does an artery end and a vein begin? In what are called capillary beds, okay? And these are microscopic, tiny, tiny, tiny blood vessels. Those are the exchange points where clean blood comes in, you know, used, needing to be clean blood goes out, okay? When you are exercising and you're having a great time walking and running, and this is so good, you're not aerobic. Okay, that is anaerobic.
And you
that
sound
is
like a dork.
without oxygen. Okay, you can't carry on a conversation. You can't be a princess and have a conversation pace workout. Okay, when you're in that huffing and puffing, really pushing it zone, you can't build capillaries because your blood is going and coming and going and coming and going and coming as fast as it can to the muscles, who are then screaming at you because they don't have enough oxygen. Okay? When you overdo it, When you're huffing and puffing, you're breathing way too hard, that's when muscles strain, because they're not getting blood, they're not getting oxygen, they're not getting the nutrients that they need, okay? So the whole concept of endurance, building up those through aerobic exercise, through consistent staying in that lower range of your heart rate, that's going to build more of these capillaries. And basically you're building a better plumbing system, okay? So we all got the same heart, all got the same arteries, same veins. You're building better and more consistent exchange of the blood and oxygen at a microscopic level, at a cellular level, within your muscle cells, okay? So phase one of building, of training and building endurance is staying aerobic, staying in that lower target heart rate zone, okay? The thing that changes as you get more aerobically fit, okay, is when you're less fit, you go from 65 to 85, bam, like that, okay? Sprint up a set of stairs, you know, chase after something, pick it up too fast. You go from kind of aerobic and comfortable to huffing and puffing really, really quickly, okay? That's why, especially like the Panther group, the slow, you know, 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, gradually progressing, adding just a little bit more running each week, okay? The walking groups, having that consistent, purposeful, like Susan says, warm up in the beginning. Get that heart rate going, get that blood moving out to your limbs, to your extremities, to your feet, okay? And get everything warmed up. Because in warming up, that's moving that blood, getting things flowing, having it go out, having it come back, getting it cleansed, okay? Moving from a warm-up to a quicker pace, little longer endurance walks or runs as the clinic extends, okay? We go in more and more weeks, the time that you're out there increases, okay? If you start off easy, start off consistently, and then start building time, or start building intensity, or start building more longer workouts, then that's where the training comes in. That's where you start getting fitter, okay? So first stage, aerobic endurance. Second stage, once all that blood is going, once those capillaries get built, okay, then muscle strength actually starts taking place. You'll notice, for the people who haven't done the clinic before, you get into weeks 7, 8, 9 of this 12 weeks, you'll start noticing changes. You know, muscles will be a little bit more toned. You will have a little more endurance. You'll be probably sleeping a little bit better. I mean, a lot of things can change in 6 to 8 weeks, because it's 6 to 8 weeks, the first part, where that aerobic endurance begins. In the next 6 to 8 weeks, so kind of from the middle of the clinic to the end and then beyond, is where your muscles start getting stronger, start getting more toned, because they're getting fed, because that blood is going out, because the nutrients are going to the muscles. You're not dehydrated, you're staying up on your electrolytes. That helps with the consistency and keeping the muscles nice and strong. And then the third stage, when you overdo it, okay, your aches and pains typically are at the joint level, okay, in your knees, in your ankles, in your hips, your lower back, okay. The joints, I'll talk about this more in a few weeks when we talk about injury prevention. but just real quickly, where your tendons and muscles connect is kind of a weave, okay? Tendons don't get much blood flow. You know, white, gristly tendon, you know, tough. That is what connects a muscle to a bone. The in-between part, the musculo-tendinous junction, that is what gets strained when you overdo it. When you're into that huffing and puffing and the muscles are screaming back at you, hey, slow down, I need more blood, I need more oxygen, okay? Those are the strain points, typically right near the joints. So in the 3 phases of building up endurance, aerobic, you're getting that blood out there, you're feeding those musculotendinous junctions, okay? Second phase, the muscles themselves, your quads, your calves, your gastrocsoleus, the primary muscles, hamstrings, they're getting toned, they're getting stronger. So then the third stage is the tug points between the muscles and the tendons, those get stronger because they start getting more blood flow. They start recovering faster from a longer walk or a longer run or a more endurance-based activity. Okay? This all making sense? Okay. So by taking your heart rate, staying in that lower zone to begin with, that's 60 to 70%, you're going to build some endurance. You scream right through the phases and you're up at that 85, 90, 95% all the time, you're going to strain muscles, strain tendons, and be sore in the joints, okay? Maximum heart rate. Let's talk about that for a second, okay? We use the age-old formula of 220 minus your age to give you kind of what that theoretical maximum heart rate is. Maximum heart rate does not mean you hit your maximum heart rate and about a minute later, that's it. You've hit the max and you're done. Okay? The strangest thing about maximum heart rate is you can be at maximum heart rate for about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, so think of the times when you've joined a class or you've done something exercise-wise, and for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, you're going along great, everything's going super. But after about 2 or 3 weeks, you start hurting. Things hurt all the time, okay? Because you can be really close to that maximum heart rate and hold that effort for 10 or 12 minutes, okay? So it isn't like you hit your maximum and the next step is your last one, all right? You can hold it, but you're not building up any of that endurance that I talked about. You're straining your muscles instead of feeding your muscles, okay? Capillary beds don't exist because your blood's just trying to get to the muscles and trying to keep up with your maximum effort, okay? There's a lot of theories out there. There always have been a lot of theories out there. I kind of started the talk saying how, world-class runners and world-class coaches in the 50s, 60s, and 70s poo-pooed a lot of this stuff, okay? It's cyclical. All this stuff kind of comes and goes, comes and goes. We've seen a huge jump in CrossFit type activities where it's like 20 minutes, hammer, 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 get fit, get out, get home, get a shower, okay? We've all heard about that, right? It's about time, man. Time, effort, maximum effort, short amount of time. Somebody screaming at you, That works great if you're 22 years old, okay? And your muscles are still developing. But when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, as some of the in the room are, you have to be smarter with what you've got, okay? You can't be straining things. You got to feed them. And this aerobic concept is really age-old. It goes out of favor. It isn't as the fad at times, but it works. It's always worked, okay? It's kind of slow and boring and, you know, but it works. It's consistent. Well, it is, you know. You can't, I mean, you can sell a CrossFit thing with a fancy gym and all that kind of stuff. It's a marketing thing, right? It's hard to market walk consistently. But it works, and it always has worked.
I do want to add a little bit. And all due respect to those, because I know there's some people in here that do CrossFit. The reason why he's saying that in part is because we have experienced people that have gotten pretty injured doing CrossFit. That said, not everybody does. Even people that are older that do CrossFit, and I know there's some of you in here. So we're not knocking CrossFit.
No.
It's just we're saying, if you're going to do it, you have to have an instructor that knows where you're at, and you have to be careful doing it. Because quite frankly, and we have seen a lot of injuries, and we care about you. We don't want you to get hurt. Because I've talked to those people that have been hurt. They're not happy.
Okay. So we talk about conversation pace all the time. So is that kind of clear with everybody that conversation pace is actually finishing sentences? Okay. Not gasping for air every second or third word. Okay. That indicator works really well, because when you are gasping for that next word, you've gone above that 85% level. Okay. So I'll talk a little bit about the zone and then we'll wrap up. So we talked about maximum. Okay, maximum, you can pretty much hold that. 100%, 95 to 100% effort, 10 to 12 minutes. You're going to be sore the next day. Maybe the next 2 days. Okay, you can do it. It's not going to kill you, but it'll hurt you. You won't be comfortable. Okay. If you stay in that 65 to 80 zone, you're going to get the most work done consistently, and you're not going to have as many injuries. You're not going to have as many setbacks. Okay, because that's where things are going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, where the muscles are going to get toned, where the joints are going to get healthier. Okay, where an extra effort is not going to hurt you and beat you up. Your body's going to be ready for it. Okay, that 85% is kind of that threshold where you go from being aerobic to going into anaerobic. And that's where you'll notice, if you pay attention to this and kind of stay consistent with the heart rate, you'll know, wow, I want, you know, at 154, I'm comfortable. At 150, you know, heart rate of 154, I'm comfortable. When I hit 158, I cross a threshold. I get to a point where, wow, that's where I start breathing a little bit harder. And it's about a 4 or 5 beat difference between the comfortable side and the overdoing it side. So kind of, you know, clue into that as you practice with the heart rates and listen to your body. That's part of, you know, the whole listen, be consistent, like Susan was saying, consistency. Okay? Consistency is going to get you further in the long run, in the long walk, than going as fast as you can, as quick as you can. Okay?
Any questions? Stand up, everybody. I just want you to stand up and wiggle. Just move around, wiggle.